Hello everyone and welcome to episode 16 of the Minecraft rail system. This one we got two new branches of lines in one new extension along with one sort of change. And that change has to do with multi-platform stations. See the folding corner, which is an example, now has the platforms listed on each of the boards. There is a train pulling into platform 1 right now of the folder. So I just categorized the stations using the navigator. Also the high speed to Stockholm. So there's an extension down that line. Also, I figured out that the snappy map only happens when I'm recording. The snappy map does not happen when I'm not recording. Anyway, here goes the express train to Boulding Stadium. And the inner city right behind it. And then here goes the shoreliner heading down toward Rockport. Oh yeah, so I put signals here and over there to make the flow in the station a lot nicer. The big bayou sitting right behind the shoreliner. Shoreliner's waiting on the downeaster to get out. Alright, we're getting on the high speed to Newberry to just show off the new line. Here is the big bayou, and there goes the next express with its Siemens Charger locomotives on it. Thank you, viewer, for requesting that. I actually do agree that the Siemens Charger fits really well with that design. Here is the Seaside Wave. We could board the SE Connect and go off to the other new, the extension. So I'll tell you now that the two new branches are a branch off from just south of Stockholm, and it heads towards Newberry Port, making the stops of Pucket and Newberry Port on the high speed line. There's the HST. And then there's an extension west of Seaside City to one-stop extension to Bristol. And Bristol is served by only one train, being the SE Connect. And then there's another branch off from Track Street that is served by the same train that serves the Newberry Port branch. It's called the Intercity Express. There is the ATB-10 with its red bi-level car. Thank you also to Hardog96. You're going to throw a fit if I don't mention you, so I just gotta. Yeah, the local to Track Street. I haven't renamed the station. I've renamed it on the displays using the navigator. But that's because Track Street is a multi-platform station. Are you still talking about the next connections? Yeah, there's a lot of connections because of all 3 platforms at Folding Corner. I've also extended this high-level platform a little bit. So, let's see. So this is the new Newberry Port line, the Intercity Express at Newberry Port. So we're waiting on the non-stop to leave. Both these have F40PH-3Cs. However, the difference between the F40PH-3C and the non-stop and this train is it's actually on the high-speed trains. It's F40PH-3CS. The train on the Intercity Express has a heritage unit. It's an F40PH-3CS, number 1082. As we ride around and we go through Worcester, we're not going to go straight down the new line. There's the electric E1, which is constantly facing in the reverse set direction, and I have no idea why it's stuck in that direction. Every time I try and fix it, it turns itself back around. We cross over the crossover to merge onto the single track going through Stepford. It turns back into double track right before the railroad crossing over here. Then we move on to the main trackage again. The split for the SE Connect goes off, and then we turn left to continue onto the Manbury main line. And I added copper tracks just right here to get the trains going around this curve faster, because you're merging onto the main line. And I have it slow down because we're going through Scarlett's Junction. There is the folder over on the other side. So I also increased the rendering distance for mobs, which includes trains. I only increased that just because some of the trains, like these high-speed trains, are having trouble loading when going really fast. Like I'm saying, when you're watching from a third-person perspective. We might actually have a meet with the Newberry Port train, or we could pass it. But anyway, we enter the high-speed main line. As we head south. We go through this village, which I've added a railroad crossing and a lot of protection to, because there's a whole village here. However, none of the railroad crossings have gates here. So we are now approaching Stockholm. There is 1 minute till the Intercity Express to Green Watersboro, and that's because he is here already. Oh, he left! I will show off Green Watersboro because it's a one-stop extension off this line. So this is Green Watersboro. It is served by only the Intercity Express. It's a terminus station currently. May go beyond farther as I have loaded the chunks all the way out there. So the way I made the Newberry Port line is I just put my render distance on max and just teleported around for a while. Now I'm getting back on the train. No. Now just get in a chair. There is the split for the Newberry Port line. So we go through northern Manbury. Now we're entering Manbury. The Newberry Port Manbury line is usually what this would be called. The Intercity Express is already near Folding Corner, so we'll board it at Folding Corner. Newberry Port. There is the regular express to Folding Stadium. So I was doing a lot of testing with the navigator off camera. So I've been on the rail system a lot recently, doing a lot of testing and stuff. I could say, just don't try and get a train that has connections on this network because you're often going to miss your connection. Three minutes till Intercity Express from Newberry Port. He's actually pulling into Folding Corner right now. Oh yeah, I still haven't fixed the fact that it says track steep, not street. And the Intercity Express arriving right now. With its locomotive, its heritage unit. So we finally use this track, which I've slightly realigned to curve smoother for this train. So I smooth out the slope going up and down. Then I added a copper rail here to increase the speed of the trains going around this really wide curve that I've made. As we go through track street, or as it says on the map, track steep, we pass, well, that train is probably, yeah, it's electric E1. So we now approach Green Watersboro. And this stop is Green Watersboro. And we're going to stay on board this train all the way to Newberry Port. the F40PH-3CS is a transport for seaside modification to F40s to increase their speed by 2 times by re-gearing them. Anyway, here waiting at Green Watersboro, it turned into 2 tracks instantly after Green Watersboro because this line is potentially going to go farther. All extensions of this line would be served by just this one train. Anyway, now we leave Green Watersboro and our next stop is Folding Corner. On our way to Folding Corner, we enter double track territory again. And we split really wide as we merge with the main line. And we go down this way to use the loop. So we merge onto the Torrance line merges onto this line, which is the main line. The Downeaster, which also has vents on its HSP46. So there's a little bit of a jam near Folding Corner because there's a lot of trains. There's also a lot of connections. The SE Connect is another train that we're going to need in this video. So we pull into Folding Corner. And high speed is about to pass us. There goes the high speed train off to Seaside City. So high speed trains on the map are in light blue. It makes it easier to track trains that go down the high speed line because they're in light blue. As the OG Express rolls right by. Why is the door to the tunnel open? And then the next express passes us with its vents to make it look like a Siemens Charger. Although it is a Siemens Charger. So we now arrive at Folding Corner. And the inbound shoreliner is gonna pass us here, coming back from Rockport, which is also down in the direction that we're going. Anyway, we make the following stops of Stockholm, Pawtucket, and Newberry Port. And our next stop will be Stockholm. A bunch of all bi-level trains starting to appear on the network because they're all going down the high-speed line, which needs all bi-level trains because of the capacity. Well, the shuttle over there only needs single-level cars because it's staying within close reaches of the network. That's probably the sharpest curve this train has to take on the entire route. Well, all the curves from after this one are pretty soft because they've all been rebuilt. Like this one. This was a rebuilt curve. As the main line leaves the Scarlettstown main, gets left by the Lynn main. And it's really the Newberry Port, Rockport, Manbury main. As we split from the Scarlett's Junction branch on the main line. And then we hit this curve towards Lynn. There are still no signals between Scarlett's Junction and Lynn Junction, which I have rebuilt Lynn Junction. Lynn Junction was rebuilt to allow trains to pass each other while going over the junction. And we passed through the platform at Lynn. And we approach high-speed territory. So we go around the corner and we rocket up to high speed. This video is getting longer than I was expecting it to be. So we go through this village again. I did add this fence to keep them safe, although it looks like we just hit one. Can these villagers stop walking on the train tracks? We now approach Stockholm. The connections are just the high speed in the different directions. As we now arrive at Stockholm, as we remember, Stockholm's platform is shortened due to the train being on a corner over there. There are iron golems here because they get pushed by the high-speed trains. Stockholm is a pretty long stop in both directions. But so is any stop on the high-speed line. And here we go, off to new territory. So our next stop is Pawtucket. So we split from the Manbury main line here at the junction just south of Stockholm. There goes the Manbury line. And we take a very long time before we reach our next stop, Pawtucket. Here is the first village we go through at high speed. Then we go around a corner. We're still pretty far outside Pawtucket. We passed a second village. As we get in the reaches of Pawtucket now, and now we approach Pawtucket, there is a future plan to make a line out that way. That's why those tracks are laid right there. As we now arrive at Pawtucket, here, this train to Newberry Port. Pawtucket's got a really long platform in case any extended trains are built for this line, which is probably unlikely because these trains are as long as they can possibly be for the platforms from Stockholm and north. Except for Seaside City, they can hold these. Anyways, we leave Pawtucket now. And our next stop is Newberry Port, which ain't that close to here. And we take the gradual curve as we approach Newberry Port. And then we start slowing down soon. And we now arrive at Newberry Port, which is the final stop along this line, Newberry Port. The village Newberry Port serves is just over that way. Because we are fairly far outside of town. Anyway, I'm going to switch ends of the car so that we can head back up. Because we still have yet to explore Bristol. And Bristol's a pretty cool station. The difficult part is just how far apart these places are. Anyway, at Newberry Port, we're somehow running behind schedule, which is actually kind of impressive for a train out on this line. Anyway, our next stop is Pawtucket. So we're on single tracks for a little while. And it hits copper tracks at the very same time the switch for the double tracks are. We now approach Pawtucket. We hit a sheep as we head down that way. And we now arrive at Pawtucket. And this stop is Pawtucket. And our next stop will be Stockholm. I don't like that it's snappy, but it does it for videos only. High speed at folding corner. We are at Pucket. I just need to view where the SC Connect is. Anyway, our next stop is Stockholm. I'll look where the SC Connect is when we get to folding corner. Because we need the SC Connect to go to Bristol. I actually could use a connecting train though as well. Just take any train into Seaside. As we hit the high speed trackage. The diesel fumes flying out of the locomotive. As we go around the corner, and we are now approaching Stockholm as we go around the corner. We arrive at Stockholm, which is the almost newest looking station on the network. Kind of wish I could hit that golem off, because I don't know why he's up there. We're going to end up passing the Newberry train, aren't we? Anyway, we leave Stockholm and our next stop is Folding Corner. So the difference about the Intercity Express to the high speed is that every single coach on it has a display board outside. And the cab car actually has 4 display boards outside. So the sun starts to set in the distance. We are flying towards Folding Corner. We go through this village again. Over the crossing, and we're about to pass the high speed to Newberry. There they go. So we come into Lynn, we hit the diamond and the junction, then another split. There goes the folder stopping at its Lynn station stop, and we go over the junction. And then we finally get down to normal speed around this curve. That signal is still on a 3 tall wooden post. And that signal is no longer on the ground. I put it on a pole. We go under I-94, or 495 I mean. There goes the next express with its SC44s. Once again, thank you, viewer. Just gotta remind you. And then we get stopped behind the next express. Off in the distance goes the Shoreliner. the Patriot is approaching this area. And we get into the sharper curves as we now approach the folding corner metro. As there's the Patriot with its America 250 locomotive. This curve is much smoother in this direction. Then we go around that sharp corner. I might round that one off because I can actually do that here. As we go over one of the railroad crossings in Worcester, and then we go over another railroad crossing entering Worcester Station. And we are now approaching Folding Corner. As we pull into Folding Corner. We were on that train for a long time. Anyway, off he goes to Green Watersboro. Ah, he's taking me with him. The electric E1 featured in my YouTube intro for Minecraft rail system videos. We still haven't even checked out Bristol. That goes the shuttle off the Folding Stadium, as well as the express train, Folding Stadium. The next train that's scheduled here is our train, the SE Connect. There's the fisherman. And the shuttle gets stopped by an inbound fisherman. He's got a frog on board somewhere. So the fisherman goes, and then there is the electric E1. So the viewer who had me make the electric E1 wanted me to make it go on a higher speed line. But the problem is the line that it's already on is stations are too close to each other to make it high speed. Then this is the train we need to take the SE Connect. This train is literally a train that stops at almost every station except for Bradenton. Anyway, our next stop will be Newmarket. This realignment, obviously, that was done last time. There's a lot of trains trying to get into Folding Corner right now. There goes the ATB 10. As we now approach Newmarket, the non-stop is who we're waiting on right now. So you notice it just said Bayfront Landing. It didn't even say Bayfront Landing 1 or 2, and it doesn't matter which Bayfront Landing, because Bayfront Landing is 2 platforms, and I redid all the 2 platform stations to say just the station name. As we arrive at Newmarket, station that isn't very commonly used, the SE Connect being like the only train that stops here. I think I need to move this high level platform over a little bit. Anyways, the moment we start moving, the railroad crossing goes down. And our next stop is Bayfront Landing. And we are now approaching Bayfront Landing. And the Seaside Wave is obviously here. And we arrive at Bayfront Landing, built back in episode 3. Some of the older signs still say North Cheese, Bayfront Landing. However, we're not even north of Cheese. We are east of Cheese. And we're actually in the southeast direction from Cheese. Anyway, our next stop will be Norwood. It has been a while since I've been on board a train that stops at Norwood. As we pass through Beverly on the double tracks, and then through Beverly Junction, and then we arrive at, and then we now approach Norwood. There goes once again the next express with its SC44 Chargers. So we arrive at Norwood, which has no display board. We have arrived at Norwood. Now our next stop will be Seaside, according to the display boards. And we're going to pass straight through Bradenton. And we now approach Seaside. There's the fisherman here at Seaside. So the station was renamed from Seaside City to Seaside. And as we arrive at Seaside, platform 1, the fisherman is on platform 7. Anyway, we're off to our next stop, Bristol. Anyways, we now approach Bristol shortly. Well, actually, we just entered the Bristol branch. We go through whatever village this is. Probably just West Seaside. And then we pull into Bristol. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of people. And this is Bristol. All of you, what are you doing? I suppose it's your only way to work, but why are you not at work already? Anyway, it leaves and it's... Oh my goodness, a villager got on board. Then he goes around the corner. Goes around that height and it increases speed. He flies out of Bristol. And that is Flashlight Rider calling from Bristol. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
I'ma wake up.